What's going on, YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. Happy Saturday to everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. A lot of you probably getting ready to go watch some football. Go Bills. Yeah, who's your favorite team? Let me know. Drop a comment. So today we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Holmes, and maybe some of you have seen, maybe some of you haven't seen, but she's being labeled as a flight risk right now for some shady shenanigans that she tried to do without telling the prosecutor. Sounds like she didn't even tell her attorney, but we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, we've been getting lots of requests from many of you, from clients that are currently serving time and from family members that have individuals that are serving time. If you're interested in us transcribing any of our video content into the form of an email or something we can send you that you can mail your defendants or your loved ones, that would be great, because a lot of the content that we create, obviously inmates can't get access to it because they don't have YouTube in prison, at least not yet. But we hired a transcription service. Actually, we've got a guy that's going to be coming in that's going to be taking a lot of our old content and transcribing it for us. And we're going to start with we're transcribing the last video I did with Tom Root regarding the First Step Act. So if that's something you'd be interested in, there is a link in the description of this video that you can hop over to, and it'll take you to a real basic Google form where it's going to ask you some information here. You got email, and email's on there twice. Ignore that. I'll fix it when we get off here. But you've got some basic info. Once you fill this information out, we're still determining exactly what this may cost based on what we're going to have to put into it. But some of you may want to be on a monthly subscription that we are going to offer, where every video we do, and you'll receive an automatic transcription of that. You'll receive it to yourself. We can also create a opportunity where we can mail them directly to the defendant that's serving time. And if you have videos that we didn't create transcriptions for, like maybe you went back through some of our old videos, or you don't want to be on a monthly subscription, maybe you just want to pick a video here and there, you're more than welcome to go through my YouTube channel, send me a link, send me a text, send me an email with the video. Just copy the link, send me the video or the name of the video, and we'll quote you on a price to get it transcribed and send it either directly to you or to your family member or loved one that's currently serving time. So yeah, there's a Google form. You just click on the Google form link. It's right over there. You guys should see it. It's in the description. Also, if you want to book a consultation with us, a free consultation, there's a link in the description for that as well, which it brings you right to our website, federalprisontimeconsulting.com. You can go in there, book a free consultation. First consultation is free. And unfortunately, I do have to say first consultation is free, because we do get a lot of people that come back for additional consultations, which I don't mind answering questions, guys. But some of these calls, even though it's a 15-minute consultation, as you know, I've spent 45 minutes to an hour on the phone with many of you. So we're trying to manage that so it doesn't get out of hand. First consultation is free, so take advantage. If you're going through something, you're not really sure where to start, Federal Prison Time Consulting, RDAP Dan, we help with anything prior to sentencing, personal narratives, character reference letters, PSR preparation. Maybe you're trying to get qualified for RDAP. Maybe you thought you were qualified for RDAP because the court ordered it, or the judge recommended it, but you didn't disclose enough information to U.S. probation during your pre-sentence report. We can have you meet with a chemical dependency professional via either phone or Skype, any of those. And if you want to hop in there and you want to find out if you qualify for RDAP, there's a lot of qualifying criteria, whether or not you're going to get into RDAP or not. And we get calls and emails all the time. I had a gun charge and they dropped the gun and I still can't qualify for RDAP. You might have a 2-level enhancement on there from the charge itself. So there's lots of things that could cause issues for that. All right. Today's video that we're going to be discussing here is going to be all about Elizabeth Holmes and the ability of whether or not rich, white, privileged individuals get a different shake of the stick than somebody else going through the process. I'm still up to debate on this, so if you guys want to discuss that, we can chat about that in the room a little bit, just because of what I've seen personally. But Elizabeth Holmes seems to be a bit of a different character who doesn't seem to have a whole lot of common sense moving forward with the process and trouble she's in. Seems like she's trying to use kind of a scammy whammy, trying to pull a scammy whammy on us, trying to stay out of prison. And we'll talk about that. Guys, I hope you stay tuned for this video because that's coming up next. All right. Welcome back after that quick intro. So who's excited for some football? Anybody, any Buffalo Bills fans out there? You got the Bengals tomorrow. It's going to be a tough one. Got them at home. Thank God. All kinds of craziness has happened this year. I'm not even really a big NFL fan. I'm just a huge Buffalo Bills fan from being a kid. So I've watched a lot of the heartache and just been very upset with the Bills. Oh, Eagles. Rob, I used to like the Eagles until the whole Michael Vick thing happened with the salt on the dogs. Aside from that, Eagles are a beast of a team. They're scary right now. I'm hoping they lose, and I'm hoping KC loses, and of course I'm hoping the Bengals lose, because I feel like if the Giants or the Cowboys go into the Super Bowl, that'd be great, because that's who our first couple of teams that we lost to. Well, first and third and fourth team we lost to in the Super Bowl, Giants and Dallas. So it'd be nice to go in there and get some redemption. All right, so Elizabeth Holmes, and I hope you guys like my thumbnail. Catch me if you can. I thought that was pretty on point. Report came out yesterday in the headlines that Elizabeth Holmes is a flight risk because she tried to book a ticket to Mexico back on January of 2022, January 23rd of 2022, and she was supposed to go out of town January 26th. Now, the crazy thing here, look, a lot of people are on pretrial, a lot of people travel in and out of the country. One, you got to get permission, so you got to get the court's approval, and B, you can't book a ticket one way out of the country without booking a return ticket. So she had a one-way ticket. Now, I get it. Maybe the dates were not completely unknown. Maybe she was going to go back in and update those dates, but come on. And she didn't tell anybody. Matter of fact, the attorney tried to say that she has been a stellar pretrial services candidate. She's been issue free. The only reason her ticket got canceled, she canceled her ticket, is because the government got wind that she was trying to get this ticket without telling anybody, and the government brought it to the attention, and then she went in and canceled the flight. So there was no return flight booked. It was supposedly for some wedding in Mexico, and she's trying to get all these travel restrictions lifted because work that her boyfriend, fiance, whatever he is doing. She was given a very, very gracious amount of time for self-surrendering, which more than most. Now, I have seen some of our defendants, some of our clients receive 3, 4, 5, 6 months prior to or after getting sentenced before they had to go in to start their date. Now, usually we don't see the judge give that much time in one shot. Usually it's 30 to 60 days. And when that time gets closer, there's motions filed to extend self-surrender. And there needs to be some really good reasons. Now, her reasons, we're going to pull up her, we're going to go to some motions that were filed over on Pacer. So let me jump over here to Pacer. I got two computers going here. So let me pull up this. All right. So if you guys aren't familiar with Pacer and you're going through a federal case yourself, or you have a friend or a family member, Pacer's free to access, but when you view documents is when you pay fees. So when you get to Pacer, and if you want like a tutorial on Pacer, we can set something up, throw me $25 or something like that, and I'll do a walkthrough on Pacer. Rob said she's pregnant, and yes, she is pregnant, Rob, but we're going to talk about that. We are definitely going to talk about that. So once you go into Pacer, you put in, like you see here, I got her name, court type, we got criminal, and then if I already did a search for it, so we've already got it pulled up. So this is what it actually, let's go to the complete docket so you can see the whole docket. And of course, there's always, it sat too long. Let me retype it in there. Oh, son of a gun. You know, I did this a million times before I got on here and it worked fine every time. And then when we come live, all right, so she's going to be, if you see here, Elizabeth Holmes. We've got one here that was date closed in the Northern District of California there. It was the date close was 11/18/2022. This is the one. So we're going to click on here. And then once you get in here, guys, you'll see some options over here on the left. You're going to want to go to docket report. And this is the same thing you would do for yourself if you're trying to look up your own case. Or you're trying to look up a co-defendant's case. The majority of the times, this will all be public information. Sometimes cases are sealed, and sometimes certain documents might be sealed, especially if there's a lot of heavy cooperation. You won't be able to see things like the pre-sentence report, things like that. That will usually be sealed. But then once you get that, you just hit run report. Do that. And here we go. This is basically everything that's been filed from the start, which you can see your charges here. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud against Theranos investors, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, terminated counts, the ones that she was not found guilty on. And then once you get a little further down, this was, okay, the indictment, June 14th, 2018. And typically most dockets we see do not have this many filings. She has been fighting this case. You know, I don't know what kind of small fortune she spent, but she got her ass kicked anyway, so she lost. So we'll go all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see opposition to defendant Elizabeth Holmes. So let's click on this, and the government's getting a little aggravated because it doesn't seem that she's, you know, I don't know that she should be showing remorse, to be honest. And the reason why I say that is, you know, the majority of our defendants, our clients, and people that we deal with take a plea deal where they're admitting guilt. She never took a plea deal. She went to trial and lost. So I can't say that I'm surprised that she's not showing any remorse, because from her perspective and her defense counsel's perspective, she didn't do anything wrong, but she lost a trial, which she's currently going through appeal. So the issue right now is she's filing a motion to stay out of prison, because she's supposed to go in, I believe it's April of this year. Let's see if I wrote that down. She's supposed to surrender April 27th of this year, and she's filing a motion to stay out while she's appealing her case, and appeals can take a long time. So the government's opposing this, and they're opposing it because they say she's a flight risk. So if we look down here, if we go down to the first one, let's see here, page 1, line item 7. So line item 7, the court became, so one of the problems is she wants to stay out because she's pregnant with her second kid. Guys, I can tell you, we'll come back to that in a second. It's not very smart if you think just having a kid, look, she was found guilty and then she decided to get pregnant or got pregnant. I'm not going to say she decided, but it can look a little bit, you know, shady acres. If you get sentenced or you're found guilty or you take a plea deal and there's potential prison time in your horizon and you go out and do something like get pregnant, the judge typically is not going to look very good on that. There are prisons that are more than capable and equipped with dealing, like Alderson, West Virginia. They've got a department there where you can actually give birth there. So her doing this, I don't think it helps her case. And she's trying to use this as a reason to stay out because she had another baby or because she's pregnant. I understand where the government's coming from. I mean, why in the hell are you being so irresponsible and not taking better precaution when you're already in so much trouble and you've already been found guilty by a jury and you know you're very, very likely going to go to prison, even if, you know, it's very unlikely she's going to win the appeal, just from when you look at rule of thumb from past performances of appeals getting overturned. Even when there's a very, very strong case, you don't see appeals getting overturned very often. So that's a huge red flag, I think, for the government. Then we've got on here, you know, the government here, we'll talk about what the government says here is the court. She became pregnant with her second child between jury returning a guilty verdict against her and her sentencing date. While facing these serious felony charges, trial, and awaiting the court's sentence, defendant has lived on an estate reportedly more than $13,000 in monthly expenses for upkeep. That's just upkeep. This place where she's living right now is massive, guys. It's a huge estate she's living on. We got some pictures of it here. We'll pull this up so you can see this. So this is the estate where she's currently living. Not bad. Not bad digs, Miss Holmes. Not bad digs at all. Let's see if we got any other pictures on here. I mean, just look at the aerial shot of that. I don't know if that's a pool or a lake, but I wouldn't mind living there while I was on pretrial. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to go to prison either. Let's see. Yeah, just basic stuff. But anyway, she's living in a compound basically with her boyfriend. She doesn't want to go to prison. I get it. She's got sentenced to a little over 11 years, which is a big deal. The problem is where do we draw a line in what's different from a regular individual versus a wealthy individual that's in the system? I know a lot of people are looking at this right now, and a lot of people that don't understand, they think she's being given all these extra privileges because of her her status, her financial status, her status in the industry that she came from. And I can tell you that that's not entirely true. Most of our clients, most of the people that we work with, they're out on pretrial. They get extensions. There's reasons. The difference is, though, in her situation is I've never had a client that tried to leave the country without telling anybody, getting caught. Now, normally, I don't know if she was found guilty yet at the time. So maybe she didn't have to turn in her passport as of yet. But when you're on pretrial, guys, you can't travel out of the country. Anybody else that goes through this situation usually got to surrender your passport. We had another client we interviewed on here, Ryan and Kimmy Park, a few years ago out of Spokane, Washington. And one of their co-defendants, actually the leader of the organization crime that they were doing, was a big insurance fraud sting where they were doing insurance scams, like fake hit and runs and staged events just to get insurance money. And the main guy, his nickname was Uncle Bill. He was out on pretrial, and this guy was known for having multiple aliases, multiple passports, and he went on the run, and they have yet to find him. Everybody else has already gone to prison and come home, and they haven't found him yet. So how she got caught. So Rob's asking how she got caught. I'm going to assume that the government has a watch on her because she's got the means, she's got the funds, she's got the ability to leave the country. She's got definitely, if she were to leave, it would be easy for her to stay out of the country. The regular person, unless they've got, a giant nest egg somewhere else hidden, money buried in the ground somewhere, to flee the country, unless you're going to go live underground somewhere in the hills and the mountains, where are you going to go? Somebody like her, she could disappear out of the country and probably live very, very well. I mean, we're talking $120 million. She was found guilty of defrauding investors from Theranos that invested in Theranos for her scammy pill, her scammy blood work. How they found out, I'm sure they were watching her. She's probably on a no-fly list, and it came up. And when it got brought to her defense counsel's attention, they then went and canceled it. That doesn't look good. I wouldn't, if I were the judge, I would put her in, pregnant or not. I don't think having a baby after the fact, knowing what you're going through, I think it's irresponsible. It sends a horrible message to the rest. It's like, I get it. If you've been through this system yourself, you try to think of anything and everything that can keep you from going to prison. But when you don't stop and process this and look at, will this work? If she would have did some homework, she would have found out just getting pregnant is not going to stop you from going to prison. It's really probably the dumbest thing she could have done, because not only is it not going to stop her from going to prison, now she's going to be leaving her kids while she goes to prison. So she knowingly had kids, and she's going to put them through this. She's young. She could have waited until she got out. She got sentenced to a little over 11 years or just under 11 years, but she's not going to serve that entire time. I don't know if her attorney was wise enough to prep her for things like RDAP, or if that's even something that she would have needed. But you've got first step, you got second chance, you got additional halfway house, you got your earned time credits. You've got a lot of things that can really shorten how much time. So on that amount of time, she could end up serving half of that, or right around there, and getting out and still being plenty young enough to start a family. She's financially going to be well off probably for the rest of her life. So I don't really think there's any reason. If I were the judge, or if I were the government, I would be also after her. And now bringing this much needed attention, media attention to it, because the the case is public. Anybody can go into Pacer. So obviously the media got a hold of what I was just showing you on Pacer. And that's what the media is getting their quotes from. Is she a flight risk? I don't know. But I can tell you that if Dan Wise would have tried to flee the country and purchased a one-way ticket to another country with no return ticket, and I didn't run this by my probation officer, I didn't run it by my attorney, nothing was filed with the courts, it doesn't look good. It does not help your cause, Ms. Holmes, at all. So yeah, the government's after you. And I think they're going to really fight hard to show cause that you should not remand out past your self-surrender date. You're given a long time to get your affairs in order. If you haven't got it figured out by now, I don't know what a few more months or what, she wants to stay out the entire time. Almost all my clients that go to trial and lose, which most of them go to trial, and most of them that go to trial do lose. Also try to file motions to remain out on pretrial supervision, whether it's an ankle monitor or reporting while their appeal is being reviewed. And it's not practical, guys, because the appeal can take a long time and the appeals are denied. I think if the appeals were more regular approved, maybe, but in a situation like this, they're normally denied. So I think they're going to look at it and say, look, you're going to go in, you're going to start your sentence. If by the grace of God, you win this appeal and your case gets overturned, well, then you'll go home and you'll deal with it then. But I wouldn't leave her out at this point with her trying to purchase a ticket and get out of the country with no return ticket. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Any thoughts? Let's see what else we got in here. Page 5 on the, let's go down to page 5. Line item 20. So if we look in here and see if I can make this bigger for you guys. Look at that. There we go. Now we can read it. So this is page 5, line 20. Contrary to defendant's assertion that she has a flawless record with U.S. pretrial services and claim that no evidence suggests she will flee while pursues her appeal, the incentive to flee has never been higher, and defendant has the means to act and the incentive. As an initial matter, defendant's record with pretrial services, the court does not account for attempt to flee the country shortly after she was convicted. The government became aware on January 23rd, 2022, that defendant Holmes booked an international flight to Mexico, departing January 26, 2022, without a scheduled return trip home. That alone, I would be very skeptic, because if she's able to get out of the country and not return, anybody else that's going through this, anybody else that's in trouble, anybody else that has a good reason to stay out, she's really making it harder for everybody else. Do I think she's innocent or guilty? I mean, she was found guilty, so she's guilty. Whether it's true or not, or she's going to fight it and win, is yet to be seen. But I think many people on her defense, we reached out initially when we saw this indictment came through, which we do with many of our cases. When we find high profile cases, we reached out asking that if there would be any interest, if she's taking a plea deal, that some of our services may be able to come in and assist. Sorry, somebody's outside the office chatting. And the fact that they responded quickly with we're going to trial. I think she made it very clear from the beginning that she's going to go to trial. I just don't see how she was logically thinking that purchasing a ticket to Mexico after the fact on a one-way without telling anybody for a wedding, it just doesn't make sense. Now, her boyfriend did go to the wedding and did return. But it just, how do you handle that? That's a real touchy one, because if she were to get away on this, that would be such egg in the government's face. And I think that they are going to really come after her very hard. And I'm sure that when she does go into prison, we'll keep an eye on Pacer. There's going to be lots of motions filed that she should be released due to CARES Act, due to health issues. I know COVID is a real thing. And I think if she really was doing this out of wanting to take care of her baby, out of the baby's well-being, I think that she would have done this through the right channels and asked for permission. The way she did it shows that she wasn't, it looks like her intent was to not come back, or at least not come back until she gets something favorable sent her way. Next Thursday, or I'm sorry, next Tuesday, let me double check. Next Tuesday, Tom and I are going to be going live again. And I'm double check right now. Yeah, Tuesday night at, I believe, 6. Yeah, it'll be 6 p.m. Between 6 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Tuesday night. Tom and I will be doing a update to the First Step Act and CARES Act, whatnot. There's been some updates. We told you guys on the last video that there's supposed to be some information coming out where they're supposed to get everything finalized, and that's been done. So that will be great to update you guys on that. And again, all of this content that we're creating, we're going to start having it transcribed so we can get this information into our clients and other defendants that are currently in prison, that this information could really help you when you go to talk to team managers, case managers, things of that nature, when you're trying to calculate your good time and is it being calculated, your earned time credits for the FSA, your FSA credits. So we're going to be doing an update on that. So again, if you're interested in getting any of that content, if you're interested in getting any of the transcribed content, it's a new service that we're starting that we're going to be offering you guys. And if you just on the link, there's a link in the description of this video where there is a form you can fill out. This will let us know that you're interested. And then once I get whoever's interested, I'll start contacting with you directly, and we'll find out if you're going to want all of our videos going forward, if you're going to want them transcribed and sent to you automatically for a monthly membership, or if there's just certain videos you're interested in and you just want to pay per video to be transcribed. So that would be great. We can send it to you. You can now, for the videos that are short enough, because when you try to send a core links, just so you know, many of you are like, oh, that's great. I'll copy and paste it and stick it into an email. When you try to stick it in, I forgot the character length you're allowed to send through core links, but like for an hour video, once it's transcribed, it's too big to put into core links without doing it in multiple sections. So you may be better off either mailing it or, like I said, copy and paste however many characters and send it to them in a couple different emails, or you can read through the transcript and pull out the bullet points of what you feel is valuable, and you can send that. These are services that we're going to provide. Rob's asking, do you get all of that by being, I get all of that by being a client? Rob, it depends what level of client you are, what services you're hiring us for. But we are, we are going to be building it into some of our services when we send you the scope and services for future clients. If you become a future client, or you're going to become a future client, and you're interested in having that included automatically, so there's no additional fees, we can talk to you about that. But we're still getting it worked out. That's why there's no price on it yet. We're working with a couple of different transcribe services, and also somebody that's going to be coming in and doing transcriptions. We want to make sure that it's legible, it makes sense. But yeah, so Rob, you're a client. I apologize. I don't recognize every name when we come on here. So Rob, shoot me a text when we're done, and I'll look up and see what we can do for you. But yeah, we want to make sure we're giving you guys as much content, as much value for your buck as possible. And we put out tons and tons of free content on a regular basis. The biggest mistake many of you will make is thinking you have this all figured out, that you don't need any help, that you're all good. The judge told you you're going to get RDAP. The judge told you where you're going to go. And you don't understand that the judge can only make recommendations. We see so often that, oh, my judge told me I'm going to go to a camp, or my judge told me, I'm going to get into RDAP. And there's no judge. I don't think I've ever read in any final judgment where the judge ordered RDAP. The judge could order substance abuse evaluations or drug treatment of some sort, but they can't order you into RDAP because you have to qualify for RDAP, and that's determined at the BOP level. That's going to be your case manager, the unit team manager, your RDAP coordinator, the prison psychologist. They're going to review your pre-sentence report, and there's a section on that pre-sentence report labeled substance abuse. And if there's not proper criteria with date ranges that need to align with certain date ranges prior to your indictment, all of this needs to be done. How much time you're sentenced to versus how much time you have left. We've got a guy right now sitting in Miami And I've been talking to his family forever. They've been trying to move forward with him. But there's always a hang up when you deal with certain people, and, you can't get a hold of somebody. They can't get a hold of you, whatever the issue is. But he's been sitting in Miami and trying to find out what he can qualify for and wants to get into RDAP. But he's got so much time served now. And based on how much time he was sentenced to, minus his good time, minus how much time he's already got in, by the time he gets to a location, even if RDAP is there, it's very unlikely he'll have enough time remaining on his sentence to get into the program. So if you don't have enough time remaining on your sentence when you start RDAP, just because you were sentenced to enough time, it's based on how much time you have remaining, not what you were sentenced to. So there's many moving parts that if you're not paying attention, you don't know what you're doing, or you just kind of relying on information your attorney gave you, you can really get caught with your hands down. And before you know it, you got a couple black eyes, a fat lip, and you're not getting an RDAP, and you don't know why. Now you're pissed. You're angry at the world. You're yelling at your attorney. Really, your anger is just going to get displaced out into the universe because nobody gives a shit. Now, if you don't have the right amount of information in your pre-sentence report, but you do have enough time, and after you got sentenced, you get to a prison, you have enough time remaining on your sentence to go into the program. If it's just lack of information in the pre-sentence report, but there was substance abuse issues that you had, maybe you just didn't disclose them properly, or maybe you were afraid, or you were ashamed, you thought it was going to get you in more trouble, whatever the reason is, if you did have substance abuse issues, that we can offset and increase your chances with the possibility of getting into the program and getting the sentence reduction. Because remember, just because you get into RDAP doesn't automatically mean you get the time off. And there's just a lot of reading, a lot of research, and a lot of things that you need to know to make sure that when you get into prison, that everything that could happen for you has got the ability, if it can. You don't want to get there and be denied due to a technicality, because that's disheartening. If you know you have some kind of a substance abuse problem, or you were drinking, or you were using marijuana, or you're using prescription pills, and you didn't disclose it properly because you were afraid it was going to get you in more trouble, now you're sitting in there and you're like, oh man, I'm going to go talk about this now because I want to get the time off. And you're like, I'm sorry, you don't qualify because you didn't have a problem, but you really did, and you didn't disclose it, and you didn't know how to go out and fight this until it's too late. These can create an extra lengthy sentence, and it's very daunting because many of you already are right now, they're replaying the moment you committed your crime and thinking, God, I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do this. Well, you did it. You're in the situation now. Now take every measure possible, flip over every stone to make sure you're putting yourself into that situation so you can benefit. Elizabeth Holmes, I don't think she did what was in her best interest. I really thought she could beat this just based on being a young female, playing the dumb card, blaming it on Baswani, whatever his name is, her partner in crime, ex-lover, whatever he is. I really felt she thought she could pass the buck off on him and escape as, kind of like, if you guys remember the lady, we did a video on her, that, Jenna Ryan, Jenna Ryan, she's one of the women that stormed the Capitol January 6th, and she wouldn't take a plea deal either, or she did take a plea deal in the end. I can't remember, but she kept playing not innocent. It's not her fault. And no one's going to send a pretty blonde female who's got a good career to prison. These are some statements she made publicly, like a goof, and it didn't help her. She ended up going to prison. But Elizabeth Holmes may have had those same issues going on in her mind. And look, it's understandable. Anybody that's lived a life of luxury to an extent thinks they're above the law. They think they can buy their way out of it. If you look at her pacer, if you look at her on her docket, she really did. With the motions that were filed, you look at most of these things are, a page long. Hers it takes 10 minutes just to scroll down to the bottom of it. So guys, if you're going through something right now, and we're talking to a celebrity right now who's under indictment for PPP fraud. I don't want to mention his name. He's a celebrity from the 90s, and he's under indictment. Hopefully he's going to take a plea deal. Right now he's on the fence whether or not he's going to go to a trial or not. It's a conspiracy, many other defendants involved. And we all know where there's a conspiracy, there's going to be snitches. I don't care how tight you are with your crew. Once they get in your ear and you start looking at your children, you look at your family, you look at, like, what are you going to do? Everybody says, one of the things he said to me, so you're saying I should just give up and I shouldn't fight. I should just take the plea deal. Guys, taking a plea deal is not giving up. Taking a plea deal is not fighting. If you really want to fight and you want to do what's right for your family and you want to do what's right for yourself, when you look at plea deals, you're taking if you go to trial, the majority of you probably know at some point, once you get further down the road, you realize you've got no shot at winning. And when you take a plea deal, you're really fighting harder by taking a plea deal, because you're taking a plea deal to mitigate the circumstances, to put yourself in the best possible situation and receive the best possible outcome. And the thing I would tell you to ask yourself, if you're going to go to trial and you're truly innocent, you did no wrong, and being unaware is like, if you are in trouble for PPP fraud and your friend came to you and said, hey, I can get you $250,000 in PPP money, SBA funds, whether it's disaster relief, PPP, whatever it might be, and you don't do your homework to find out how you're getting this money, but you're signing the documents, that's on you. The defendant that I'm telling you about, the celebrity from the 90s, he's no dummy. Like, when you talk to him, he's very, very educated. But then when he says, well, I didn't know what I was signing, you can't go from this high level of education and really understanding and fighting to all of a sudden saying you didn't know what you were signing. Didn't have any employees at the time, $250,000 to receive from PPP. Like, for example, with our employees, we had a couple during COVID, and I think we received 2 rounds of PPP money. SBA, we got some funds, but then we also got the payment protection money. I think we got 20 grand one time and like $17,000 the next time. And that's with us filing it the right way. You see some of the filings that some of these people were doing, and it's just ridiculous, because when you talk to them, they seem extremely educated, but then they didn't know what they were signing. So it's hard to really play that card. No one's really going to believe that you didn't know what you were doing. So the point is when you're walking down the government's, plank, and you're being poked with that sword, you're either going to jump off that diving board into the abyss of sea and be left behind and drowned over the next 15, 20 years, or you're going to do what's in your best interest and what's in your family's best interest, and look at what you did and just look at it and say, if I were to do this entire thing over again, is there anything I would have done different? Most of you that committed your crime, if you look back, hindsight, you will see the red flags. The warning signs were probably there. And when you can own that, then you can move forward. I think for a lot of us, though, it's also, we're ashamed. When you're some sort of a celebrity status, you don't want your fans, your viewers, you don't want people to look at you as somebody that took advantage of the system. But you're going to be found guilty at trial, and you're going to look a whole hell of a lot worse. And if you say you're really doing this for your family, you're probably not going to be doing your family any good if you don't consider a plea deal. So that's my advice to you guys. If you're going through something right now and you're not really sure what you should be doing, you should definitely be at least looking at your options on a plea deal to determine how much time you potentially would be facing with a plea deal versus how much time you might potentially be facing if you go to trial and lose, because usually they are drastically different. There are some situations where your plea deal and your guidelines, if you were to go to trial, maybe they're not that different, and you're like, well, I might as well roll the dice. There's always that as well. So that's why we say, if you want to book a consultation, there's a free link, or there's a link in the description of the video, guys. You can book yourself a free consultation. We can find out what your situation is. We can pull you up on Pacer. We can determine what you might be able to do. And for those of you that are interested in booking a consultation, let's pull that up. When you go over to our website, this is what you'll see. And you're just going to scroll through this, fill out some basic info here. We're going to ask you a little bit about your crime. If it's state, it's feds, because we do work with state guys as well. You'll hit submit. It'll bring you to our calendar. You'll book a time that fits your needs, that fits your schedule, and then we'll hop on a call. 15 minutes. Sometimes most of the time it runs a lot longer than that. And that first consultation is completely free. So there you have it. That's all I got for you today. Juan's asking, where's Todd? I haven't heard from Todd. I don't know, Juan. I would like to know the same. Todd Hansen, one of our very first clients way back in the day. Feels like it was so long ago. I was still living in Spokane, Washington. I had a small little office out of the back of our apartment, and then I had a small little office inside of a church. And from there, we just kept growing and growing and growing and turning into prison consulting beasts, right? RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, guys. We're here to help you. We're here to make your situation better, not harder. We want to be a part of the solution, not create part of the problem for you guys. But you got to take the first step. Link in the description, book your consultation. If you have any information, you have any questions about Elizabeth Holmes, I would love post a comment, or if there's a video you would like us to do, if there's somebody you'd like to see us do it on, drop a comment in there. Maybe we'll do a video on that next. Give us a shout out. We're going to do some videos of the dogs that are coming up soon. I got a new little dog that's added to the family. You guys might remember Oliver. Oliver's been in some of our videos. He passed away, and it was very heartbreaking. And we have a new little guy who's joined our family. His name is Sir Ted. But yeah, so we'll give you some content of him, just give you an update of what's going on. We're doing good. Juan, thank you, brother. Juan's one of our old-time clients. Juan, he hit the revolving door a little bit. We really worked with Juan. We helped Juan. He was looking at a minimum mandatory of 5 years. He ended up getting sentenced to probation and then violated his probation, went back in for a little bit. But Juan knows he owned it. He just got a little big for his britches, but he's one of our favorite clients. Not at the time. He was quite of a pain in the ass at the time. We love you. We love your mom now, though, now that it's all said and done. But Juan's out doing great. Hope you're back with NASCAR, whatever you're doing out there. But yeah, we've had some amazing clients. We've had some memorable clients. We've had some not so memorable clients, but we continue to move forward, going into the future, being part of your team, having us part of our team, and watching a lot of these other prison consulting companies just get dismantled from the inside out. You know, this is why when it comes to sales and marketing and things like this, I try to stay on the front page of that. When anybody hires us or they're going to talk to us, or they have questions, consulting, it's always going to be me that you're discussing it with, just because I don't want to bring in sales reps to do that work. Not that you can't find a good sales rep, but sales reps are motivated by commissions and bonuses and things like that. And you just never know what somebody might say to get a sale done. And I don't want to find that out 6 months down the road, when somebody was promised, oh, Dan, they promised me a free AMG Mercedes with the hiring of your consultation services. So reach out to me, guys. RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. Hope you guys all have a great day. Stay safe this weekend. And damn it, go Buffalo Bills. All right, guys, have a great day. I'm out of here. Peace. Talk to you soon.